Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge. Hope you guys are all having a wonderful day, wonderful afternoon. My name is Andrea Huck, so welcome everyone in the chat. We've got Camila, Akeen, some familiar faces as always. We've got Micah, Julia, Osborne, Sam, welcome. Lots of you guys today. So thanks for joining. We've got another very fun augmented reality sort of design today. This one isn't so much augmented reality, but still working on different interfaces throughout the home that you might not usually think about. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm gonna hop on over to Behance. So this is behance.net/challenge/XD if you'd like to follow along with me. And of course, if you're not already registered, go ahead and sign up with that big blue button right there. And each day you'll get notified in your Creative Cloud app up here of what the challenge is going to be. So let's go ahead and scroll on down and see what today's challenge is. We're going to be working on one of my favorites, Auto-Animate. So I want you guys to create a thermostat interface where users can specify temperature preferences throughout the day. But I want you to use Auto-Animate, so you can show the temperature rising or falling as users make adjustments. If you want to do like a dial or a slider or just buttons, try to have fun with how they will change the temperature. So do something a little different. I know there's maybe like a lot of thermostat designs out there, but try to just see if you can do something very creative. So if you want to follow along with me, you can grab that starter file, just hit get started, that'll bring you to Dropbox, and you can download that starter file. So that will look a little like this, and I'll get into that in just a second, but first let's just cover some more things on this page. If you missed any of these, you can always watch the replay, so just hit that blue button and you can watch it here on Behance or over on YouTube. And of course, be sure to watch our daily live show. That's right here every day at 2 p.m. Pacific. And of course, share your work on Discord if you like, or on Behance afterwards. We've got lots of mentors that are giving feedback. So if you just hit that join us button at the bottom, this will take you to a sign up place. 43,000 of you guys, that's crazy. Or if you want to sign up here, this is the link. So bit.ly/XD Discord. You can sign up right there. And then I'll just hop on over in there and just kind of give you a rundown of what Discord is if you have not already joined. So we've got all of our channels over here. Current challenge is one of the important ones. So if you want to submit any of your work we've got a lot of mentors on right now. One of us will give you guys feedback, and yeah, you guys have been submitting lots of awesome work. I have a few already picked out that we're going to review at the end of this stream if we have time. So check out this channel, the Creative Challenge channel, if you just want to see when we're going live. So when the Creative Challenges are. So be sure to check those out. If you have any questions, just post them and ask a question. Anything about design or XD related, just let us know. So that is a bit about Discord. Let's go ahead and hop into our XD file. Welcome everyone who's just joining. Akeen, Edith, Ashi, hey guys. And let me know if you have any questions while I'm doing any of this. I will be checking the stream throughout the live stream today, or I'll be checking the chat throughout the stream. Okay, so like I mentioned, I want you guys to design a thermostat interface and using Auto-Animate. And I figured out a very important trick with Auto-Animate. So one thing that I had been kind of trying to figure out for a while was how to do sliders that are curved. And I'm going to show you how to do that today because I figured it out. I cracked the code. So either if you want to do an Auto-Animate of just a normal, like up and down slider or left and right, or in a circle, like a loading circle or something. So if we wanted to do something like this, I'll show you how to do that. Or just up and down. This one was kind of neat, kind of similar actually. This one by Lorenzo and this one was by Tomas. So you can try out different features like humidity or something if you want to add those. Of course, I got the resource booklet here if you want to check out like where I find icons and pictures and stuff. And of course, I've got some tips. I always give you guys some tips related to whatever the challenge is. So today's tips are: consider using color to indicate heating or cooling. And you'll notice that most of these designs that I've been creating like the last 2 weeks have been mostly white and like very minimal because they've been augmented reality. So I don't want to use too much color when the rest of, like, if you're augmenting something on top of an object in the real world, there's obviously going to be like millions of different colors that would be in the real world, so I don't want to compete with that too much. But if it's something that's super like one of the main points of the interface, so in this instance like your temperature, raising or cooling, or heating or cooling it, then that would be a good instance to use color. But otherwise, if you're doing augmented reality sort of thing, I usually just keep it to white. What else? Yeah, oh, the other thing is I want you guys to try to do something that you normally don't do as far as like just ways to interact with the interface. So if you normally do like spinner or like dial sort of things, try to do more buttons like up and down, or maybe it's a slider or a toggle. So try to do something that you don't normally do and we can learn it together. Okay, so here is the interface that I've already started. And yes, Adobe Live. Pro tips. So I'm again keeping it pretty minimal. So on the left side here, I just have some of my weekly stats, just very high level. I don't want people to get like too confused, too bogged down by getting in the weeds with, oh, it was exactly this percentage this day and all that. Just like, oh, okay, I maybe used a lot on Thursday, so I'll try not to use as much or keep it as high today. And then I also wanted to include humidity. I keep a humidifier going in my bedroom like all the time when I'm sleeping, at least, because it helps with my dry eyes. So that's something that I would use. On the right side, I'm just going to start adding some of the main features. So the main thing we want to add is the actual temperature. So what temperature is it right now? I'm going to say like 76, and I'm trying to remember the shortcut. Ooh, there we go, for the degree symbol. Otherwise, I normally just go to like, I search Google for the degree symbol. And I'm gonna make this super big so people do not lose it. They don't get confused or anything. And the shortcut is Shift Option 8 if you're wanting to do that degree symbol. So again, I always try to line everything up. Everything that I add to the interface, I line it up with something else. Otherwise, if I put it like here or something, even though it's a new block or column over here, it still doesn't feel very cohesive with the left side. So if I keep it right like lined along the bottom here, then it still feels like, okay, this is all part of the same interface, it's working together. And then I'm gonna add another title here. The font that I'm using today, what is this? Rubik. Not one of my favorites, but I felt like today, since it's kind of temperature, you know, don't want to go too crazy with that. Okay, so below this, let's add, maybe we have presets for morning and night. So let's say, let's make this, I'm using this really nice kind of subtle gradient here. So actually I don't want it that much. Let's go over here to linear gradient if you're just starting from scratch. And then just select each of these little circles. And you can move this around as well. Kind of want that darker shade to kind of fall off. I like the very subtle gradients where you like can't really tell if it's a gradient or not. It's just like, maybe it is, maybe it's not. Just super subtle. And then, so these will be presets for just like the morning and the night. So let's add those right there. Okay. And then I'll just say copy this and we'll say morning. This will be our morning temperature and we can change that to whatever we want. This a bit smaller. And again, just line it up with something else on the interface. So I'm just trying to line this up right here. I'm gonna change this song in the background, it's kind of busy. And then let's also add night. That looks good. And then I'll just copy this same sort of style for the actual temperature, whatever we want to set that to. So let's say like 64 degrees for the morning. I don't actually set, this isn't like what I actually set my temperature to, but I just want to show some variation. Okay, and then the only thing we really need is the slider or some kind of dial to be able to change the temperature. So let's add a pretty big slider here. I'm just gonna make it the whole height of like here. And I'm making it pretty chunky so that, you know, normally when you touch a thermostat, it's like you just want to do it really quick. You don't want to try to look super closely and, you know, finagle it too perfectly. So I want to make this slider pretty big. And I want to, I'm just going to rotate this. I want the gradient kind of on the bottom. And then in order to make, I need to make it kind of stacked. So let's just add another one. I just copied and pasted. And let's make the top purple. So I'll bring this bottom part down to like here. And then let's see. I want these two corners to just be flush with the sides. So let's go over here into our appearance panel and need to rotate this because we rotated it at the beginning. And then you'll see whenever I select, it's kind of hard to see, but the radius down here, whenever I select one of these before I start typing, you'll see the blue little indicator will light up on whatever corner you have selected. So that's how you know what corner you're adjusting the radius for. And then I'm gonna add a circle with, again, another very subtle kind of gradient. And I'll make this purple. Just so you can't really tell, but you know, it's a nice little touch. Okay, that looks nice. So now what I want to do, oh, one other thing I want to add here is just a toggle for turning the whole thing on and off super quickly. So I'm just adding this toggle kind of in line right here with the end of the slider. And then I'll just copy and paste this text and I'll say on or off. So right now it's on. And then I'll line this up with this side over here. And this is just a bunch of circles and a rectangle with the corners rounded. All right, so now let's go ahead and add our Auto-Animate to this. So first things first, I do want to make the numbers kind of scroll as I'm making this slider scroll up and down. So in order to do that, I need to make each of these numbers separate pieces, and then they'll kind of scroll through all of those numbers. So I'm just gonna copy and paste this. Let me make sure, how many do I have? Yeah. And I'll keep the degree symbol because that's not really gonna change, but I'll put this right in the same spot. And then here I'll get rid of the 6, and the degree. And what I want to do is I want this to be vertical so it can look like it's scrolling through. So I'll show you what I mean. I'll just start numbering this 1 to 9, or 1 to 0, I guess. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. Okay. Now I want to put this in a clipping mask. So I'll just make another rectangle on top of that, select both of those with the Shift key, and then Shift Command M to do a mask. And we'll put this on like 7. Oops. And you want this to be in this little text point thing rather than the area text so we can see everything. So I'll scroll it on up here. And then I just want to make another one of these. So again, it can scroll through both of those at separate times though. But the thing I want to do with this one is, because maybe let's say I want it to go from 63 to 74. So because right now we're in the 70s, we actually, when we go down, we need to add another set of 10 numbers because we'll be going through 2 sets. So I'm just going to do the same thing. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. And bring this one down. All right, so that way it'll look more realistic. So let's bring this to 3 or so. Doesn't really matter what number we're on. And I'll bring this to 6, 63. Kind of line those up a little better. Okay, now what I want to do, so let's go ahead and select both of these and just group them together. So Shift Command G. It helps Auto-Animate know a little bit better where to group things when you're doing that Auto-Animate. So let's just select the whole artboard and then copy and paste it. And what we want to do is just change these to where like the slider in the number would be. So let's move this up. And then we'll move these numbers up as well. So let's say like 70 and bring this up to like 4. Okay. It's a little better. And if we want to kind of just adjust this over a little so the kerning looks a little better, we can fudge that, no problem. Okay, so let's hop into our prototype tab. And what we want to do is select this little part of the slider, not the whole thing, just this one. And we've got this little toggle right here, and we can start dragging this to the next artboard. And we want our trigger to be drag. And it'll just know up and down. We don't have to tell it. We don't have to say we need it to go up or whatever, because we already adjusted the design on this second page. So we'll keep the action, it already guessed correctly. We want to keep the action to Auto-Animate. And if you want to change the easing, you know, ease in kind of slowly or whatever, you can. I'm just gonna leave it at none. And then since we're already using Auto-Animate for this, it will already know that we want it to scroll through these on here, those numbers. So let's go ahead and preview this. And to make sure this is on the home, this little guy is selected, it's blue. And we'll press that play button. And then let's start dragging it up. Very cool. We can drag this down as well. If you want to go backwards, you do have to just do the same thing but reverse. So drag and Auto-Animate. So let's select it again and we can look. So watch the numbers as they're scrolling through and this little circle. So, and the reason I did so many numbers on the second one, you'll see, is because since it's not just going through 60, it's going through 72. So it looks a little more realistic if we have that second side going a little faster. So that's how we would do vertical. Now, I did mention that I want to show you my trick for any kind of circle if you want it to show as going throughout a loop or something. So what you need to do is you need to group everything within a circle. So for instance, let me show you on this. Let's say you wanted to do a thermostat dial that's kind of like an arch. So let me preview this for you. If we tap this, it automatically goes just in the same sort of path. And normally, if you didn't do it this way with grouping, it wouldn't match exactly the same path along right here. Or for instance, if you'd want to do like a loading circle, just in a straight circle, it can go all the way around just following that same exact circle. So let me show you this real quick, how I did this. I'll just make a new artboard. Okay, so what you would do, make a circle for the background, and with this, you just want to use the Boolean like Pathfinder for everything. So I'm just like gonna copy and paste and make this like a circle right here, but we don't want it to be border, we want it to be Boolean. So just do that little guy. So now it's not filled in sort of on the inside. And it's not perfect, but I just want to show you how that works. Maybe we could adjust this tab. Okay. And then just copy this And if we change this color so we can see what's going on, so now we have both of these on top of each other. And then maybe we want this to be arched. So we would make both of those inside of the clipping mask. So just select everything, and then we'll do Shift Command M to make it sort of like that arch style that I just showed you up there. And then, let's see, how did I do this? Oh, okay. So then, inside our mask, we need to, again, maybe we want it to start over here. So use just some shapes to kind of like fill in where you want it to be filled in versus not this part. So again, use the Pathfinder tool rather than the pen tool, and use the mask on that part. So we've got double layers of masks now. I hope this isn't getting too meta. And then the last thing we need to do is behind this mask that we've masked out, we need to make another circle. So it will follow, when it's rotating, it'll follow the path of that circle. But we want it to be, let me just send it back one. We want it to be no fill. So we can just uncheck this little guy and group both of those. So Shift Command G to group. Whoops. Hold on. Let me go back one. I'm not doing that right. Okay. Let me show you this example though that I already have done. Basically, the way it works in order to get it to go exactly in this circle is this is grouped. You can't see this one because it's filled in with nothing. Let me just like show you. So this has no fill right now. But if you fill it with nothing, then that's how, if it's grouped to something else, it'll still follow the same path. So I hope that makes sense. It's a little hard to describe, but let me show you this again. If you tap it, it still follows that same path. And same with this guy, if you wanted to do just like a loading circle or something. And you could keep that continuing or whatever. Let me know if you have any questions about that in Discord or something. It's a little hard to explain, but basically you use a transparent circle behind it. Okay. So that is a very quick foray into Auto-Animate. Let's go ahead and save, Command S to save. And of course, if you want to save this to Behance, make sure you go over to Edit, and then go over to your Settings tab into the Discoverability panel. And you want to have that keyword XD Daily Challenge so we can find your work and give you feedback if you'd like. Hey Paul, just saw you in the chat. Yeah, Akeen said I'll definitely be watching that again. You might need to slow it down to see exactly how I did all those layers. Okay, so now I'm going to look at some of you guys' work very quickly. I'm running out of some time. But I'm just searching XD Daily Challenge and in Behance, and I already have a few pulled up that I loved. So this one's by Dan. Dan, if you're watching, thank you for submitting this. And this was day 3, so last week. And again, we were working on the augmented reality sort of designs. I thought this was such a good idea. Like, people could really use this. So it does have some sound. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it. Let me turn it up. Hold on. Let me try to play that again.
Registration check.
So basically he's saying registration check. So it's like a cop if they're looking at license plates or something, and then it automatically pulls it up on their windshield. I thought that was such a good idea. And then this one. Andy, you brought this into After Effects afterwards and made it track. Like, this is blowing me out of the water. You did such a good job. So cool. Okay. So that was by Dan. Thank you so much for sharing. And, oh gosh, I don't have much time left. Maybe just one more very quickly. Oh, this was also by Dan. Let's look at this. So this was the Smart Mirror one. And you can see it's kind of tracking. It's a little hard to see. We've got a world map. That's kind of cool. Swiping through the notifications. Awesome. I love looking at, you guys are just so creative this week. Okay, guys, I gotta sign off. This is about all the time that I have left for today. thank you all so much for joining. If you have any questions, just let me know in Discord. I'll be looking there after this stream. And don't go anywhere, because in about 5 minutes, we've got our Adobe Spark live stream with Veronica Belmont and Paul Traney. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye, guys.